Hello all, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about tips for writing your undergraduate college or university thesis. So if you don't know who I am, I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out that I wanted to pay the favor forward and help you out. All right, so this was a question that was asked by one of the followers, YouTube channel followers. I'm gonna call you the reciprocity, I don't know what I'm gonna call you. Maybe somebody can make a suggestion. That's a great name. I was thinking the city, I don't know about that. But anyways, so if you know the rules on this channel, if this helps you out, make sure you go and do something that's nice to somebody else. It doesn't matter who it is. You can leave a nice comment. You can go out and pick up some trash outside, whatever it is that you're doing, and just be nice to somebody else. It could be a random person. All right, so this is all about writing your undergraduate college and university thesis. Now, this whole channel is really geared towards graduate students. However, it is really applicable to all sorts of people around in anything, really. It's just about accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish in your life. With that, who am I talking about for undergraduate college and university folks? So there's different names that people call these things. So uni, I think in Britain and in Australia is really common. College is really common in the US. University is really common in Canada. Wherever you are, whatever you call it, it's really geared towards people that are doing the first 4 or 5 years, 6 years in particular higher education institution. So there is a basic structure. Oh, and the other thing is probably geared towards people that are doing sort of an honors thesis towards their 4th and 5th year. So there's a basic structure and everything that you need to write. I've read pretty broadly. There's only I don't really know the humanities that well. I've read stuff in science. I've read stuff, science like chemistry and things like that. I've read a lot of stuff in the social sciences, like, economics and all that kind of stuff, and business. So there's a basic structure to every sort of paper that you're ever going to write. And you should probably be trying to aim towards writing kind of a journal article. That's what your ultimate goal is. It's never going to get published. Although every once in a while you do see people that publish from their undergraduate thesis, which is cool. It's particularly, I think, in like psychology and areas like that does happen once in a while if you're a particularly good student and the idea is novel. So there's a basic structure to when you write a thesis. There is an introduction, and that's really just kind of telling people what you're going to do. And there's a structure even within that where at the beginning you sort of tell people what we already know, and then you go in and say, this is what we don't know. And then after that, you say, this is what I'm going to do. And then finally, this is what we are, this is what, the implications of what I actually did. And that's across the board in almost all fields. It's just kind of the way that we do sort of science. However, broadly what we call science, right? So even if you're in kind of not a scientific field, that's what we sort of write in the academic sort of language. So in general, the paper sort of follows that kind of construct as well, or that sort of path as well, right? So you do an introduction where you tell people what you're going to do. Then you do the theory where you go into, theory is what you just tell people what people have done already. And then you go into, maybe it's a hypothesis section. You don't necessarily need that, but sometimes you have that where you would say, this is what we're going to try to find and what we're trying to do. That's why I just said, a methods sort of section for most people at the undergraduate stage. And then getting into the results, this is what you found, right? So really digging into what you actually found. Then getting into the conclusions and recommendations. So this is not only what we found, but what is the implications of what you're trying to do, or what sort of advancements that you actually did, right? So how did you advance what we already knew about the things that you're going to do? So in terms of tips, and dealing with an undergraduate thesis that I've seen, and this is my own personal experience. So, I've been in your spot. Don't worry about it. It is tough. It's challenging. Everybody struggles with this thing, and it's kind of a lot about dealing with the day-to-day, right? So that's why I want you to start early. You start as early as you possibly can. I think with our undergraduate thesis, so there was 3 of us on the team. And there was 3 of us on the team, and I was in engineering, so chemical engineering, did my undergraduate thesis. It was on the extraction of this chemical compound nimbin from India. It's really kind of an interesting project. I liked it. So we modeled it, and then we sort of modeled it in the chemical process, and then we sort of showed how we could scale that up. And, what is the implications of that? It was a pretty good thesis. I actually think it was really well done for, undergraduate sort of level and stuff. And it was largely because I was working with some really great people. So what I would recommend for you to do is start early, start really quickly. So if you've got 2 semesters to do this thing, start really early in the semester, and then just kind of, I didn't do this, right? So this is what I'd recommend for you to do, is just to write a little bit every single day. Write a paragraph, write 2 paragraphs, or whatever it is, just a little bit. You don't want to do a lot. So when my wife and I whenever we move, we don't wait until the last day to pack everything up, because that's really stressful. So what we do is, for the 2 months following up to, the move, what we do is we pack 1 box a day each, and it gets really easy at the end of when you have all of this stuff done. It's kind of like plug and play at the end of it, right? So that's what you're trying to aim for. The other thing, I don't want you to get stuck in reading mode, where you just read and read and read. This is a really common thing with all academics, all graduate students, anybody that is doing research in any, even when you're in industry, you're going to get into kind of reading mode. When you read, you want to write at the same time, right? So you read something, you write it down. You read something, you write it down. And you're constantly doing that back and forth. It's going to seem like it's going to slow you down, but what you're trying to do is just put a bunch of material. Just think of it as just putting a bunch of material into your paper when you're doing that, right? So read, put your thoughts about the paper down, what they sort of discovered, what are you actually doing with the thing that you're doing, and really start doing that. The other thing is, this is really common, and I struggle with this, is to listen to what is asked of you, right? So don't go any more than what is asked of you, and just really stick to it. Don't get fancy in any sort of way. I see this all the time. Just really basic, and the more basic you are, the easier it is to read, and the higher the grade that you're actually going to get for it, right? The other thing that you should be doing, so the 4th thing, is just getting feedback from others. I created this whole sort of sharing economy editing platform. If you want, you can check it out, but I'm not selling anything to you at this moment. You just check it out. But anyways, the basic thing that you should be doing is getting feedback from others around you. And, I was lucky enough to have a mom that would go through that, go through this kind of stuff. So it was really nice. And so you might want to look at somebody that is just kind of a lay person, not in the area. So lay being not in the area, and they could just kind of read through what you're doing and give you some pointers on where you can sort of clarify the particular stuff. The other thing, 5th thing, is you don't need to sound intellectual to write something that's really good. But I also don't want you to, sound like you're writing to a 19-year-old. I know that, sorry to take offense in any sort of way, but you should be writing to like your grandparent, where you're trying to be a little bit proper, but not intellectual. You don't want to be like, just sounding as highfalutin and stuff like that. That it just doesn't come across that good. That well, I don't know. So you just want to come across as being kind of a genuine, person that is interesting and novel, and that's how you're going to get your points across, and really cutting out as much fluff as you possibly can, right? So you don't want to waste anybody's time. So don't be writing a bunch of fluff. You're going to take out a lot after. The other thing is there's a balance between sort of citing every single word. We all struggle with this in terms of how much we cite, but I've gotten a little better with this. So what we're looking for is kind of like novel ideas. If you could do more novel ideas that are novel, so new, fresh, different ideas, that is not what's already in there. You don't have to necessarily cite everything that you actually read and get into, but you also need to cite. So there's a tricky balance. You don't want to get into the point, sort of area where you're cutting and pasting from Wikipedia. If you do that, that's really easy. Trust me, it's super easy for somebody to catch that. Don't do that ever. And you just want to get into novel ideas where you're thinking on your own and you're being very clever. That's going to really help you out. And the last thing, the seventh thing, I can't stress this enough because I want you to get out of the mindset that this is grueling and stuff like that. You want to enjoy the process. So if you're sitting down and doing this, associate having a treat of some sort when you're actually doing this. So maybe if you're going to do the writing thing, do it when you feel really energetic, whatever time of the day that is. I know everybody is different. For me, it's the morning. For you, might be the evening. Whatever it is, just want to sit down and just be energetic and having fun. You might not necessarily want to associate eating, a chocolate bar or something like that, because that's kind of an unhealthy habit for a long time. But maybe if you eat a little chocolate at the end of actually doing this, the more that you associate sort of reward to it, the more fun it's actually going to be. And just kind of have fun with it. Don't get stressed out in any sort of way. Just really work at it. Just have fun. So that's all I want to say with tips for writing your undergraduate college or uni thesis. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Enjoy the process. Really get out there and just have fun. All right, take care. Bye.